Motivational Monday video is actually not geared towards production people or production companies, but for clients wanting to hire someone in the creative field. And that is, I am trying to motivate you to stop asking for quotes. Let me explain, because this is something that's going to save you a lot of time, money, and frustration. If you're hiring a production company, you need to stop asking for a quote, and what you need to start sharing is your actual budget. Now, I get it. There's this fear. If I tell them my number, what if it's too high? What if I could have done it cheaper? Sounds smart, but I can tell you that in this industry, it's almost never going to happen. What actually happens is quite the opposite. Most of the time, the real cost of a shoot or an edit is higher than what the client has in mind. And that disconnect, it's not your fault. This industry is a bit confusing. You can hire a camera operator for $500 a day, or you can also hire a DP for $5,000 a day. It might be similar titles, but it's a completely different level. Why? Experience, skill set, union versus non-union, commercial versus independent, gear, crew. It's like buying a Maserati and buying a Prius. Technically, both are cars, they're both vehicles with wheels, but they are two very different price points and two very different experiences. In film and TV, the price point is not always about the product you are getting, but the service you are getting. So when a client says, "Can you send me a quote?" what they're really doing is asking the production company to guess for them. And that's where things can start to break down, because now we're building something without knowing the boundaries. And we see this all the time here at Redline Studios. A client reaches out, asks for a quote, we build it out, which takes a lot of time. The crew, the gear, the post. It's a, let's say, $100,000 job, and then now they come back with, "Can you bring this down a little bit?" So we'll revise it, we adjust it, we trim it. Days go by, sometimes weeks. Then finally, a month later, the same client says, "Just so you know, we only have $10,000. Now, let's let that sink in. That's not a revision. That's a completely different project and a completely different budget and a completely different stratosphere of expectations. You're not shaving off $90,000, you're starting over. And all of that time of the back and forth and the go-between and the changing of numbers and changing of crew and reaching out to people and seeing if they're available, that's all wasted time. So let's put it another way. Walking into a production company without a budget and asking for a quote is kind of like walking into a BMW dealership with only $1,000 in your pocket and expecting to buy a brand new car. And they are going to look at you like you have two heads. And when your rationale is, "Yes, but I've seen cars on Facebook Marketplace for $1,000, that's not a comparison that makes any sense. Right, those are 50-year-old broken down cars with no wheels, no brakes, no shocks that are rusting and sitting in someone's dilapidated shed in their backyard in the middle of nowhere. That's a disconnect. You're not getting that same product out of a BMW dealership in New York City. So you're not comparing the same level of service. Production works the same way. There is a massive range in quality, in execution, in professionalism. There's plenty of 20-year-old kids who dropped out of high school, who went to Best Buy and bought the latest iPhone and call themselves a cinematographer. Sure, can they do a job? Maybe, but they're not going to do the same job as someone who is an accredited DP who went to film school, who's been shooting big budget Hollywood films and knows about lenses, lighting, framing, and craft. So when you don't share your budget, you're not protecting yourself. You're actually just slowing down this entire process, and you're making it a very frustrating one. Because here's what a good production company does. You tell us your budget, and we build the best possible version of your project within that number. That's where the experience matters. That's where creativity comes in. That's where we actually help you. And by the way, even when you ask for a quote, it's rarely some hyper-detailed breakdown. It's broad. Production, line item. Post, line item. Maybe a labor line item, maybe an equipment line item. But you're not getting an itemized breakdown from any production company in the know, because we all know that people like to comparison shop, and you're just going to use that for the wrong purposes. These budgets are broad in scope intentionally because things change, projects evolve. So the idea that you're going to analyze a quote and find hidden savings is just a delusion. That's not how this really works. The real advantage is more so from the perspective of alignment from the start. So here's the shift. Instead of saying, "Can you quote this out for me?" say this. "Here's our budget. What can we do with it?" Even better, give a range because now we can guide you. We can tell you what's realistic. We can tell you what camera models fall within your budget. We can tell you what level of expertise crew members fall within your budget. We can suggest smarter ways to get what you want. And most importantly, we won't waste your time and you won't waste ours because time is the one thing that you don't get back. So if you take anything from this video, it's this. Your budget is not a weakness, it's a tool. Use it. Be upfront, be clear, be realistic, and you'll get better work, faster work, with far less frustration. That's how you can win in this industry from a client perspective when working with a production company. Stop asking for that quote, start sharing your budget, and trust. Trust the company you want to work with.